And I'm excited. So if you're watching this later, I'm like, where am I looking? If you're watching this later, let me know which book you liked. Also, let me know where you are watching this from. I appreciate you watching this later. So today I'm just going to get right into it. I am talking about the 10 books. I did read over 10, but these are the 10 romance books that I read for January 2025. Now, if you are interested in any of the books, I already, because I'm always trying to be prepared, made the Amazon list. So you should be able to find each of the 10 books that I read. And I'm going to start in really no particular order. And some of the books I liked, some of them I read because they are authors that what is this? Lord, because they are authors that I just keep up with because I just like them. But my top pick, let me just tell you what my top pick is. And this, I say this is my top pick because I fell in love with this author. Her name is Aria Days. I don't know where she comes up with these things, but I love how she has each of the characters be flawed in some way, but it's a beautiful, not a beautiful flaw, because I don't know if you could say that, but it's in the way that her characters are able to be in relation with each other and they're perfect for each other, even though to other people it's kind of like, what the hell is going on? So the first book that I read for her, and let me bring it up, it's called Candid. This book, I didn't want it to end. I did not want it to end. I did not want it to end. So you have Wilhelmina, and then you have her guy named Thebes. Thebes is asexual, or he was, and he also is on the spectrum. So he has a lot of things going for him, but he is a beautiful man physically. And then you have Wilhelmina, whose mother was a model herself, and their relationship and how she is at her wits end because she's been in a relationship for a long ass time, and now she's like, I want to do better at my job, but they're not giving me enough space to do that. She speaks like 5 languages. She has like 1,000 degrees, as most Black women do, but she also is like, I'm going to help and do what I need to do, but I still want to be able to get paid for the work that I do. And she's living in New York. And he comes, and it was funny because her neighbor was like, I want to introduce you to my nephew, but he doesn't live here. And unbeknownst to her, that nephew was the guy she actually ended up with, Thebes. And she was like, he's mean, he's this, he's that, but I really think he's a good guy and you guys would mesh well together. She was like, yeah, whatever. And then the neighbor left. And come to find out, towards the end of the book, she was like, yep, see, I knew you should have met my nephew, and here you go. But I loved the book. It was funny. It dealt with some of the things that Black women automatically, or Black people deal with, especially in corporate America, when it comes to racism, when it comes to people believing that you owe them something because they are supposed to be there and you are not, like we're talking about DEI hire bullshit right now. And then it also comes up with family dynamics and how families will take you apart. And sometimes you sit there and you take it instead of just putting them on ice. And then it also talks about the dynamics that you have with people who you consider your friends and how your friends can be jealous of you and you not even think about it, but the person who's around you, especially other people who love you, can see it. So that is that book. And this book was pretty long. And then let me see if I can show you. I want to show you the front cover because I don't want this video to be super long. So I want to show you the front cover. Okay, here we go. And this is the, oh, Lord Jesus, Joseph, and my Lord Mary. Hold on, y'all. Okay, let me see if I can get it. Okay, so this is the front cover of this book. It's called Candid. Really good. Really, really, really good. And then she was like, hold up. I'm going to give you an epilogue, but I'm actually also, let me just say this. Trigger warning, it does have miscarriage in there. So miscarriage as well as sexual assault. So be aware of that. Like it almost happened in the book. So I want you to be aware, and domestic violence. So there are some things in there that are trigger warnings with that in the book. So I just want you to be aware of that. Now, after reading that book, Aria Days was like, hold on, let me give you, let me give you the remix. So what she did was she came back with the book after they got married. So this one is called From Kingston with Love. And it put all the pieces in place because this was after they got married. They are now living in, they've been bouncing around. So he is a millionaire. She didn't know this. Let me tell you this. This is one thing that I hate in these books. If you are messing with somebody who got money and he wants or they want to buy you shit and you know you ain't got no money, bitch, take that money. God, that gets on my nerves. Why are you mad because they got money and they didn't tell you? Especially if they're treating you like you walk on water. Why are you mad? Because he's a millionaire. He had like $34 million and she's pissed that he didn't tell her that. And she don't have to work anymore. But he also was like, I don't want you to work, but I also understand that you went and got these degrees and you also, want to be in this space where you feel like you're a part of something larger than yourself. So I'm gonna allow, not I'm gonna allow because that sounds real bad, but I know that that's what you want, but I'm giving you the option that you don't have to do that. And then, of course, in this last version, they decide that she wants a child again. Because remember, in the first book, she had a miscarriage. So she wants a child. So she tells him that, and he's like, that is one of the main reasons why I didn't want you to work because you were so stressed and there was a lot of things going on and you lost our child. Not blaming her, but he was like, I don't want you to have to do anything. I don't want you to have to do shit. Not a damn thing. And it was a part in the other story in Candid where they went out to eat with one of their friends, his friend. And he says to the young lady, because the young lady knew it was something off about Thieves. Thieves is, he is on the spectrum. So when it comes to social interaction, he don't give a fuck. He gonna tell you he don't give a fuck. And so with that, the young lady who was with his friend was like, what does she bring to the table? Talking about, Wilhelmina. And then also said to him, well, I believe in 50-50. He was like, listen, if I'm with someone and that person's going to have my child and I want that person to be with me, I'm not doing 50-50 because she has to take in her body and she is creating a human being. Why the fuck would I do 50-50 with this person? You should not be with anybody that's going to tell you that they have to be 50-50 with you, especially if you are going to be carrying their child. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You're doing all the work. You are doing the work. That person is not. So I'm going to make sure that when I am here, that she has to do nothing but incubate this child. That is it. I don't want her to have any stressors. I just want her to have my child, a healthy child. And I was like, yes. And then she also was like, are you scared of your child having a disability? Because, of course, he is on the spectrum. What I love about Arya Day's characters, especially the men, is that one, they cry. And I know you would be thinking, like, why the fuck would you worry about if a man cries? But I think because our characters are black men, that they get to show a range of emotions, not just anger, not just frustration. Like, they actually are able to say, I have feelings and these are my feelings. I am crying. This is how I feel. I'm emotional. And it's okay because their partner is one to one with them and is like, I see you, I'm honoring your emotions, and I love you. So, in From Kingston with Love, this is their story, and he built her a house. He built her a house that she designed because not only is she working, she also has an architecture degree. So he found drawings when they moved in together and was like, I'm going to build her this house. So he did. And he would not get married to her or even try to get engaged to her until he built her this house, which he did. So in this story, To Kingston with Love, they are moving into the house. She is pregnant. And so he's like, I don't want nobody to come over this house. You shouldn't be over here. You got to give us 48 hours notice because I'm not playing these games with you. I want her to be as stress free as possible. And so this goes into that, and they have twins. And it was just a really nice ending to the story. So I hope, fingers crossed, that she actually does add on to their story. So as they grow older and you see their families and stuff like that. I love that story. Now, she had another book called Candy Corn. What's it? Wait a minute. What's this one? Candy Corn Curses. This is a fantasy story. Y'all know I love fantasy stories. So this fantasy story had a young lady. This is the cover of that book. And again, all of these are going to be in the link. This story it starts with a young lady, and she has had this dream for a 20 she is in her 30s now, and she's had a dream since she was like 17 of being chased and meeting this horned character, and he's always chasing her in the snow. So the story is following her through this now happening. And what I found so interesting about this book is that, now this might set some of the Christians off, or some people who believe in heaven and hell and things like that. The story is taking place in earth, but then the man that or he's a succubus, I think, in my mind. He is like taking her through this journey of loving her. But what was interesting about this is that he's a succubus that doesn't have sex. So he is 188 years old in the book, and he doesn't have any sexual intercourse. So it's weird because it's like, we know what a succubus is. We know how they, get lust and everything like that. And that's not who he is as a person. So again, Aria Days takes the time to build these very interesting, nuanced characters that are like, this can't be right based on what I know about this. So I love this story because she takes it from this young lady who is in her 30s, didn't even know what she was, and she's supposed to be now this powerful sorceress. And so she is cursed him, and when she cursed him, he cursed her. And so they're trying to break this curse. He wants to break the curse because he's like, I need you to live your life. I'm almost 200 years old. You are only in your 30s. I want you to live. And I also know that because I am not supposed to have any interaction with a sorceress, that they are going to come after you. And when they come after you, I will not be able to live knowing that I cannot be in your presence. So he's doing everything in his power to cut this shit off. Trigger warning. There is a part in the book where they talk about how he came to be and his mother and what happened to his mother. It doesn't go into detail, but because it says rape in the book. I hope I can say that without them taking me off of here. I don't know. But it doesn't talk about what happened, but it does say how he was raised. And she still raised him, but there was a disconnect. And so they talk about that in the ending of the story, because he was he was surprised because he understood that his mother didn't really connect with him, but he never understood why. And his brother was the one that found out and was telling him, because they were trying to figure out what she was because she cursed him. And because of that, he did a DNA test, and they both did DNA tests to figure out what they had going on with them. And that's how they found out. So the book itself takes you on a fantastic ride between different realms. Um, the angels was kind of shisty. They was kind of, it was like they're not really what you think they are. And they have a hold on every magical creature, but they really are not that good. They're not good. I won't Let me not say they're not good. It's a morally gray area with the angels in this book. And the same thing with like the demons. It's very morally gray. And I appreciated that. I appreciated that she gave voice to these characters who were fighting against something that they could not, at least he didn't feel. His name was Corn didn't feel like he could fight against it because he didn't want to lose her, but he also didn't want to put her in a box where they were going to take her and take her powers and use them in heaven for their own. So if you like fantasy stories, if you like morally gray things when it comes to angels and demons and things like that, definitely get that book. And again, this is by Aria Days, and this is the cover of that book. All right, so that's story number 2. That's story number 3. Excuse me. Story number 3. Okay, let's talk about this one. Untamed. Untamed is by Lisa. Let me see. Untamed is by Lisa Rainey. I hope I said that right. This is the cover. Get into it. Get into it. If you have never read anything that is a historical romance, you need to read, where's my book? Not Brenda Jackson. Here we go. Beverly Jenkins. Excuse this book. Beverly Jenkins. Beverly Jenkins is the goat of all goats when it comes to historical romance. She changed the game for Black romance with Avon. So definitely, I have a majority of her books in print. But Lisa Rainey, every time I read a historical romance, they always try to put language that is from this century in, and it don't really give. It's like why are you talking like you're in the 21st century when this is supposed to be the 1800s? Like, is what are you doing? So this book talks about these two characters. So the main character, her biggest thing is that she is a very intelligent woman. She has gone to school. This is the 1800s. She has gone to school. She has her a degree in finance, but she cannot and will not be able to find a job because again, this is the 1800s and nobody wants to hire her. They only want her to go and be a mother. Like that's it. That's all they want her to do. If she goes to get a job, they feel like, well, when you have a child, you're going to leave anyway and your husband is not going to let you do it. So she is actually engaged to be married to someone who was a childhood friend. They grew up together. But again, she's like, I don't want to be your wife because all I will be able to do is have children and be a homemaker. I don't want that. I want something different. I did not go to school and get this degree and fuck with these people to sit at home and be cooking your meals or sit at home and have to take care of a household and maids and things like that. That's not what I'm here for. And so what she does is she takes um, her cousin, who she had not seen since she was 15. Her cousin ran away from home, has moved out west. And when she did that, she never heard from her again. So her cousin sends or the person who was working for her cousin sent her information. It was like, hey, your cousin died. I need you to come out. She left you something. She did not know what she left her. She left her a business, but the business she left her is a saloon. Again, since the 1800s. So she is, although she is a woman who is older, she's in her 30s, I believe, early 30s. At that time, if you know, very, very, very conservative, like most Black people are now. Um, you don't know about sex until you're in your marital bed. She's never been married before. She has a fiance, but she's never been married before, so she's never had sex. So when she thought about going there and she heard that they had a saloon, she just assumed that they just serve food, not ass, but they serve ass. She didn't know that. And so what ends up happening is when she gets there, the person who she thought or what she thought it was going to be was not what it was. And so she's like, oh my God, um, why don't these ladies have clothes on? Like, what is going on? All these men are coming up in here looking dusty and they are not even washing their hands and yet they're coming to get food and I see women going upstairs and because she is in finance, she has a degree in accounting, I believe. Her cousin left her all her books so she can see what is actually happening, but she's trying to figure out what these terms in the books means because these are not terms that you would normally use as an accountant. And what she comes to realize after she learns that it's a saloon that's selling is that these are the rooms where the women are selling. And so she's trying to save them from hell and damnation. But the women are like, we are doing this because this gives us the option. The only options we have are to be married, and that's about it. So, this for us is freedom. You may not understand that because of the way you grew up and the way you were raised, but for us, this is what freedom means that we get to do and say and figure out what we want in our life. And so, she had to kind of wrestle with that. And so she decides that, okay, she's going to keep it open because she now has to pay back this guy who's like, hey, your cousin owed me money and you have 48 hours to give it back to me. And she's like, first of all, hold up, nigga. Nope. I should be able to give you 30 days and you should give me 30 days in order to get this money. So she does everything in her power to try to get this money together, except for letting the women do what they do best. And then in the end, she finally realized that she had to do that. Throughout this whole type of process, she is enamored with this guy. And this guy is a bounty hunter turned marshal. And he likes her a lot, but he also starts to realize that he cannot be what she wants because he doesn't want anyone to come after her. He became a marshal by chance because someone was looking, another marshal was looking for these people who killed his fiance or his wife at a bank robbery. And so he was deputized because he was the best of the best in the West. And what rhymed? He was the best of the best in the West. So what actually happened is he's only doing this until he catches this last and final person, and then he's done with it. He has his parcel of land. He wants to build his house. He wants to be left the fuck alone and live out the rest of his days, putting his guns away, putting the star away. He doesn't want anything to do with that. But he also understands that anybody could come after him, and they could come after him through his loved ones. And so in this space, he's like, I don't want to do anything. But she is a hellion because she's like, I'm going to do what I want to do. So she comes to him and she's like, hey, I want to get in between your legs. I want you to get in between my legs. Can we do this? And he's like, no, I'm not doing this with you because he knows that he will fall. And she's like, fine. I'm going to have a few people come over. I'm going to do interviews to see who wants to be in these cheeks. And what ends up happening is he comes in with his gun, like, you might want to get up, partner, because this right here is me. And she's livid because she's like, you don't want me. You show me you don't want me. You told me you don't want me. Why are you here? All I want is someone to take what is there, take my virginity, and I don't want to get married because I don't want anyone to have their name on my property or what I'm doing on my business. I don't want that. I just want you to take what's there and then be gone. That's it. If I want to have a lover, I want to have a lover, but I don't want to get married. Being a Wild Wild West, it don't matter. And so their relationship kind of progresses from there because he realized that, yo, I really do, like, I'm falling for you. I want to go together bad and I need you and I want you. But here comes old boy from back home who's like, what y'all doing? What's going on? How you doing? And he really does love her. And so he gives her part of the money to give to that man who decided that he needed her space. And from there, now there's a tug of war going on between the guy she was supposed to be married to and this new guy. And he comes to his senses because he was just going to let her be because she belonged to someone else. But he comes to his senses and is like, listen, I will give you whatever you want. I have a house that I'm building with you in mind. I don't care if you don't want to get married. I don't care if, you want to run a saloon. I don't care. I just want to be with you. And so that story ends on a happy note. You can read more into that because, again, it's a whole lot more. I'm just giving you the cliff notes. And that is Untamed. I'm going to show you that cover again. So that is Untamed. This is book, I think, number 4 in my mind. I think it is book number 4. Yeah, it's book number 4. All right. Moving on, we are going to go to, let me see, I'm going to my reading challenges. We're going to go to Spin the Block. Now, Spin the Block was cute. It wasn't like, it was cute. It was cute. I liked it for what it was. Okay. So this is Spin the Block. This is the cover. This is what it looks like. I've actually finished this like this weekend. And what this book was about is this pop star, and she just got out of a relationship with another guy. She built this guy's built his everything up. Like, he is a star in his own right. He was a part of a boy band. And so she gave him everything he needed, from management to publicists to just giving him everything that he needed. Caveat, don't do that shit. And so she put all of her dreams and stuff to the back. Mind you, she was a star before him, and she gave him everything he needed to be the star he was. And then he now just decided one day that he did not want to be a part of that. And so what ends up happening is now she is at a point where she realizes that everybody, because this is celebrity culture, is like, oh, poor her. He's going around. He has a new love interest that is a rapper, I think. Yeah, she's a rapper. And he's talking about, this is the love of my life. I've never felt like this before. And so she is depressed depressed because they're calling her a has-been. They're calling her all types of names because every time he says something, they're like, oh, I guess she couldn't hack it because he met a new upgraded version of her. And so she has a friend who is a celebrity DJ, and his name is Ward. Her name is Carice. And Ward, they had something going when they were in high school. They went to like a performing high school. And so she's back in, I think they're in Atlanta. Yeah, she's back in Atlanta to make sure that the school doesn't close down. So they have like the star-studded celebrities come out who went to the school in Atlanta, and she realizes that she needs to do something because if she doesn't do something, what's going to end up happening is instead of people trying to give money to the fundraiser to keep the school open, they are busy trying to figure out what she's doing, who she's dating. So her sister, who's her publicist, comes up with this thing and is like, hey, you need to do what you did in high school with Ward and how y'all won prom, homecoming king and queen, and act like you are in a relationship. The problem with that is when they did that in high school, she broke his heart. And he, all this time, because they are now in their 30s, is holding on to this grudge. So she comes to him with arms open, is like, I just want to apologize. I want to see if you would be able to do this with me because you are the DJ for this event. And whoops, sorry, you are the DJ for this event. And I would love if we could do this because I don't want people to just get away from what the purpose of this is. And so he kind of is like, I don't like you like that. Like giving her pretty much the stomach virus face, like, nah. But they come to a consensus where she does apologize. And then afterwards, she tells him, like, listen, I had to break up with you, even though I was the one who was like, this is just going to be, us being friends trying to get this together. But I had to break up with you because I knew that if I wanted to be the star that I was going to be, my manager told me that I could not be with anyone. And I had to just focus. And for her, she lived in poverty. She had her mother and her sister, and now all of her mother and her sister live off of her. Like, yes, her sister works for her, but they still, she pays all her mom's bills. She's like, I didn't have a choice. And he did not realize that because they never had a conversation about it. And he treated her pretty badly after that as well in high school. So both have been grappling with these feelings. And so with this story, this is a second chance romance. Again, this is the book, Second Chance Romance. They get back together. It's really cute. It's like, if you're looking for a book that is quick and really doesn't have much like back and forth, not a lot of drama, which I actually do like, but it's still simple and I liked it. It's not one of my top faves for the month, but it's still cute. Let me see. I did Untamed. Okay. This book, I don't know what this author is because I usually read Black romance authors, but this book is called The Game Warden's Mate, an Alien Abduction Romance. So you see, I go from contemporary to fantasy and sci-fi and everything in between. So you're going to get a little bit of everything. So this is The Game Warden's Mate by A.M. Griffin. Okay. Let me just say, like I told you how the billionaire trope bothers me when the man is a billionaire and the woman is mad that he has this money. Like, I don't understand it. This was something similar to that. So the premise of this book is that there is a galaxy that is, I don't know where it is, but it's a galaxy. I believe it's in our Milky Way. And they have this game set up. I'm trying to think like what's a movie that is like, but they like almost like Hunger Games, almost. Let me just say almost. And so each game, the hunters are able to put money up. They have 3 separate tiers. So the bottom tier is basically when you get this person, you or not person, this entity, whatever it is, you get to decide what happens to them. So a lot of it can be slavery, breeding, or something like that, right? The second tier is usually where you get the hunters that are looking for a mate, like they're looking for someone They are the hunter for someone else, like the proxy, and that person is looking for me, right? So same thing. The last tier, the top echelon tier, is that hunter is actually like, no, I'm going to buy you the finest furs in whatever galaxy they're in and give you everything you need if you would just be my person. And so each tier gets progressively harder for the prey. So what happens is this young lady is at home, and she wakes up, and when she wakes up she realizes that there's an alarm going off, and she's like, I don't have an alarm, like what is this? She's a chemist by trade. And so when she wakes up, she sees that there are other people around her. There's one woman with two young children, an infant and then like a toddler. Then there's another guy who's like a Marine. And then there's like these celebrities, wannabe celebrities or people who have money. And so each of them, and it's like another young lady who is a domestic violence survivor, and she has her dog with her. So they're all human, but they're all in this location, and they all have a collar on, and then they have a bracelet on. And so they have no idea what is happening. They just know that something is wrong. And so you have her trying to distinguish, like, where am I? I don't understand what is happening. I know I'm not on Earth. And they're like, we have to get up and we have to figure out what's going on. So one person uses the bracelet, and they realize that the bracelet will give them food, will give them water. It will also give them certain tools and things like that. So as they progress through the levels, this level, they get as much food as they want, as much water as they want. And then in the next tier, which is in this tier, this tier, the third one that they're in, this tier is a jungle. So they are, they're hot, they're sweaty, but they're moving through the jungle. And what happens is, as they get up to like the second tier, they get less food, they get less water, but it's the coldest one. And so they do get like snowsuits and things like that. They also have to hunt for their food if they want to get more food. And then the final tier, they're not getting anything. They have to look for shelter, they have to find food, they have to find water. They they have to do it all. And so each of on the bracelet, it'll tell you like when you're going to make it to the next tier. And so when they have the three, that means that they're on the third tier, and they start to realize what's going on. Some of them decide to leave from that location because when they walk out, someone got shocked and they realize they have to stay in there. They're being corralled in that area. The Marine said that. And so they wait and they see that, oh, we can now walk. They hear it like this loud noise. The problem is that on this planet, no one is supposed to have humans. Humans are a species in this story that are not supposed to be taken off of planet Earth. They are a protected class because in the galaxy, we are not that smart. And we don't have a lot of the other things that you would need. So like the fur, the bulk, all that shit. And so we are supposed to be protected. But this is the time when they are hunting and we are the prey, which has never happened before. So a lot of money is exchanging hands because it's the first time this has ever been done. So the mother and the children, and then our main character and the Marine become like one group and start to go together. Now, the main character, who is this beast thing, I don't know what you call him, he decides that he wants to make as much money as possible. So he goes into he's the leader of this outfit. His father was the leader. His father was the one that put this on for the humans. So he's come in because his father has passed. And he didn't realize that this is what his father was doing. So now he has to take control. And he's like, I need this to go as smoothly as possible, because if these humans don't get to the third or the final, the first tier, we are going to go under. We're going to lose money and everything, and no one will want to come here at all. And they're paying off politicians to have this. So he's like, we have to give them money. And so we need them, at least 3 or 4 of them, to make it to the top level, because they somehow previously his father managed to get a woman, and she's made it to the top tier. And so they're like, we know humans can do it, even though we thought that they were like weak. They're not. And so in this story, the mother is and the babies are with the main character and the Marine, and they start to walk. They're walking. The Marine is holding the one child, and then the mother is holding the baby, and they're kind of like rotating. They know they need to find water. The Marine is like, we need to do this, we need to do that. And then this beastly thing comes and is like, hey, I'm gonna help y'all. You need to listen to me if you want to make it. The object of this is that you need to split up, because the faster that you split up is the faster you can go to the next tier, and the faster you can go to the next tier, and then the faster you can get out. So she asks him, am I going to be able to go back to Earth? He says yes. He's a bold-faced lie. A bold-faced lie. Because he starts to fall for her for some reason. It's like love at first sight or some shit. So he is like, you can get back to Earth, but you have to make it to the top tier. And so when she says this, she's by herself. So she goes and she tells the Marine and the young mother, like, he said this, but I don't want to do this, because how are you going as a mother with two young children going to, be able to battle what's happening here? Because we almost got caught already by these bug looking things. I don't think this is what we need to do. So let's make sure that you and us, we stay together. The mother is like, I don't think that's a good idea. They was like, nah. The Marine is like, nah, we stand together. Like, we 10 toes down. We like this. So we like them. So they go to sleep. When they get up, her and the Marine look around and realize that the mother and the children are gone. And the Marine is like going ham, because he's like, oh my God, like, I can't believe, I don't know where they are. And he's about to cry. Mind you, he's a Marine. So he's like, he's one of those guys. And so they're just like, we got to keep moving. Let's calm everybody, because on their bracelets they were able to talk to the other people that left, and they were like, let's just talk to the other people and see if we can find someone else, and ask them if they've seen the mother and the children. No one has seen them, so they keep walking. And so as they're walking, they get held up by these bug looking praying mantis looking shit. And so she says, he tells her to run. She's like, I'm not going to leave you. I don't care. But then he gets his foot in a trap. And so she's like, I'm not going to leave you. He was like, no, you need to run. I can't protect you and protect myself against these things. And so she's like, fine. So they have an escape pod, but they only have 3. You can only use 3 the entire hunting prey game. So she uses one and gets away. And then she gets into the space where it's nothing but cold. And so when she gets there, the beastly thing comes to her and is like, because this is his homeland. And he's like, he gives her what she needs. And she's like, what part do you have in this? I don't understand. He's like, listen, I just need you to know that you need to get to a space where you can be safe, because I'm about to have to leave, because what happens is every night they get a reprieve from being hunted. And so that time is about to come up. And he's like, so take my jacket and just try to find something to eat. You're going to have to find something to eat. And so she ends up, like not understanding what's happening. And she's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm now by myself. And she realizes that she has to defend herself against some wolf type, I don't even know what the fuck that shit was, wolf type animal. And he comes back to her and is like, I'm glad that I can't tell you what to do, but I can share with you or nudge you into locations that you should maybe try to go to save yourself. So the book goes in through, her trying to do what she has to do in order to live in this new space where she is prey. And she's never held a weapon before. She's never gone camping before. Like, all these things are new to her, but she knows she has to survive. And throughout the story, she kind of gets on my nerves. I ain't gonna hold you. She kind of gets on my nerves, because there's a point in the story where he has to go to these uh, political characters. I don't know what to call them right now. Politicians, excuse me. And because they found out that he has humans. So he goes there to talk to them about what's going on, and they want to see what's happening. So by this time, him and the girl are locked in, like they like this. And he didn't want to leave because of the environment that she's in. He knows that she may not be able to make it out alive, and he wants to be there to kind of protect her. And because he is off of the space where they're in, he's watching all these things happen. But he told his right hand man, listen, I want you to protect her. And the right hand man is like, I don't think it's a good idea. What if people find out? Like, this is everything for us. We can't have people think that you are playing the game like this. It's not fair. We're going to lose money. He's like, I don't care. Protect her. And so when he pulls up the screen, because the politicians want to see, like, okay, how are the humans faring? Like, this has to not be a fun game because we know they're weak. But he starts to go through and he sees like some of them are, like running around the area. Some of them have made it to the top level. And then his girl is there and she's fighting with this wolf beast thing. And so he watches this and he wants to leave, but he knows he can't because he can't show that emotion that he is invested in this. And so she ends up fighting with the wolf thing, but goes off a cliff. So at the next part of the story, she's in like the infirmary. This is the fuck shit that makes me mad. She's in the infirmary and she says to him, you know what happened? He was like, I pulled you out. You're done. I pulled you out of the game. You were on the second tier. I pulled you out. We saved your life. And you are fine. She gets upset because she's like, why would you pull me out? All of my people are in there. Like, I need to go back in because if they were able to do it, then I need to be able to do it. I get that this is a book, but if you were fighting for your life and he pulled you out and saved your life because you were drowning, why the fuck would you go back in? And then she finds out that he is the game warden. He's running all this shit. So then it comes to be an even more like craziness because she says, put me back in the game. And then she makes it to the next level, which is the first level. As soon as she gets in, she makes it to the top tier, the top level. And she cannot do anything. So they don't give her food, they don't give her water, they don't give her anything. And so she is kind of at her wit's end and she looks nasty because, she hasn't showered, she hasn't bathed in like a week or whatever. She hasn't done anything. And he gives her food, he sends it. She doesn't want it. She sends it back. He gives her water. She doesn't want it. She sends it back. And I'm like, girl, are you dumb? You got to be dumb. Because why? Why would you do that? Like, I get you mad at him because technically he runs this shit, but you finna die. You finna die. So that's why this wasn't one of my favorites, but it was okay. Like it was whatever. Um, yeah, not one of my favorites. Human resources. I already did a video about this book, so I'm not even going to go into that. You can watch that on the page. I love this book. It's Aria Days again, my fave. So I'm not really going to go into that book. I have 3 more. All right, this one, I love this author. I'm not going to say I love this author. I like her stories sometimes. This one I really didn't like, but she is Regine Abel, and this is I Married a Catman. Okay, so don't judge me, but I like these stories because each of these stories, they have like this primitive mating whatever thing, and then they have like this woman who is coming, and each of these women have something that helps this what do you call this wherever she's at, right? So in this story you have Ophelia, and she is it's called the Prime Mating Agency, and they find soulmates. So she goes, she finds the soulmate, and the soulmate that she finds is from this I guess galaxy. I don't even know what to call it, but it's so interesting because the world that she's on is matriarchal, and they all look like lioness, I think, and lions, but they're matriarchal. And so the matriarchs send the I was call the men, but they're not men, the males in to rob and steal and basically do that across the galaxy. And so Ophelia did not want, she was like, I don't want no part of that. I don't want no part of that. Especially since the guy she was supposed to be with, the male she was supposed to be with, just came out of jail. He'd been in the clank clank for 12 years, right? But because he went in the clank clank for 12 years, he gained a lot of skills, and he swole. Like he came out real swole like this. Like, try it if you want to. And now that he's come back to his pride, like they're looking at him differently. The one of the women that he was with, who he thought would be like waiting for him, but realized that she wasn't going to be, like I think like 6 years into his bid, she now wants to be in his face because he's big swole, and he's like, nah, I'm good. I don't even want none of y'all like that. Like, I just want to live my life. And he knows that in order to live in the pride, he has to go out and do crime and shit. And he doesn't want to do that because he knows that if he does that, he's either going to be killed or he's going to go back into jail. And the jail that he was in was like the bottom of the bottom tier, where there wasn't a lot going on. Like you had to fight, but it wasn't like you were going to die. But the other jails, which is 2 and 3, if you go to, I mean, which was 1 and 2, if you go to 1 and 2, you're likely to be dead in like a month. Like a month. But in 3, you got to fight, but it's not like craziness. And so he was in 3, so he was cool. So he gained a lot of things that he was able to use in order to make everybody else's life around him within that jail space really good. So he wants to use those same skills in the pride. They don't want to do that. It's a lot of jealousy. The main guy, who was like the alpha, is a real B, like a real B. He puts him into a scenario where he has to fight like these wild beasts, and because he's been able to get bulkier and do all the things and fight and learn to fight better, he was able to get himself out of that situation. But he realizes that he won't be able to stay in that pride anymore. So him and Ophelia is like that. We finna be out because y'all not going to disrespect us like this. And what ends up happening is they create their own pride, because in the story, the males are kicked out after a little bit. Like they're kicked out. The boys have to go find a new pride, and they pretty much have to fight the entire time. When they get older, it almost reminds me of what happens here. Like the way they talk about women is, as you get older, you're not, we don't want you anymore, supposedly. And so you got to leave. Like we don't, you're not as valuable. So that's what happens in this story. It was given a lot of like white savior complex privilege because she was a white main character. But I read it because I liked the author. But yeah, it was all right. And again, that was I Married a Catman. She has a whole bunch of these stories. So let me, like, all of these right here are from this series, and I've read all of these, and I like them. And they also, if you are a person who speaks in another language, they have them in French and Spanish. I forget what other languages they have them in, because I think the author is French Canadian. Let me see. I have my last 2 books, which I love. I love these books. So Ashley Nicole is one of my favorite authors for contemporary romance. She has a series on the Mason family. The Mason family is like 20 of these. It's like 20 cousins, right? And they have the grandmother, I think her name was Laverne, if I recall. And then under her, she had like 6 sons or something like that. And then those 6 sons have a multitude of children. So these are the children that they're talking about. And this is the last book in this. I think this might be the last book. So this is about the cousin who is the only girl, and her name is Taylor. And when I mean the only girl, is the only girl. Taylor is like 6 feet tall. Taylor only deals with men who are like 5'9" and below. She only dates men that are shorter than her. So it's like a family joke. Like, why are you only dating men that are shorter than you? But in the story, she talks about why this happens. Because they've been in each of these stories, they always talk about like why you only date short men. So in this story, it's about her dealing with this guy who is a family friend. They've known him for forever. His last name is also Mason, and they tease her about, like, his cousin's girlfriend wives tease her because she's like, you're the only one who doesn't have to change their name to Mason because you would be dealing for Mason. And she's like, no, we're friends. Like, I don't like him like that. But the challenge for Taylor is that all of the cousins who she's been with her entire life are now having children. And it's like 5 babies at one time. So she feels kind of left out. And also, her job, when she was working at a school, the school just was it was a charter school, and the school went under because of embezzlement. And so she was devastated because she loved working for the school. I think she was like an admin of the school, but the principal or something like that, or the founder or something, was like embezzling money. And so they closed it. So now she's kind of like, she doesn't know what to do because she, one, is the only one who doesn't have like a significant other with the cousins, doesn't have children, and now she does not have a job. So she's kind of trying to figure out her way about her. And then the main character, he just broke up with his fiance, and his fiance is bonkers, 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 bonkers. So his name is Lawrence. His fiance has a work husband, and she tells her fiance, "Why are you worried about him? You must be jealous." They call this man long neck, right? That's how the guy that she's supposedly not dealing with, even though she's having inappropriate conversations with him via text. Like, you have this man who is fine as frog hairs based on what they say in the book, and now you don't want to, you want to say to your fiance that he is jealous of this man. So Lawrence is like, bet, you know what, we don't have to be together, keep the ring, keep whatever, like, I'm good, because I this is not the type of relationship I want. I'm not about that life. And so she cannot get the hint. His mother cannot get the hint. His mother is inviting this girl to, this is around Christmas time. So she's inviting her to Thanksgiving. She's inviting her to Christmas, like all the holidays. She's inviting this girl to. And he is like, I don't want anything to do with her. Why do you keep inviting her? And he's been stuck on Taylor since they were kids. Like, he, even though he's a little bit older than her, I think like 5 or something years older than her, when he starts to realize that she is growing into a beautiful woman, and mind you, he's taller than her, and she's like 6 feet, so I think he's like 6'4". So he has always flirted with her, but Taylor has been oblivious to them flirting, even though the cousins is like, no, he been flirting with you, like flirting, except for when he was engaged to be married. He didn't flirt with you at all, but nah, you just playing stupid. And she's like, I wasn't, I really didn't know. And so this describes their relationship, and it's funny in the story because they have like a group chat. Mind, can you imagine having a group chat with like 15 people that are all of your cousins who you've grown up with, and they are like roasting the hell out of you? And so they are roasting her because they're like, oh, you with your other Mason family? Okay, okay, when I see you, I'm gonna bust you in your face. Like, things like that. That's how me and my sisters are. And so seeing the relationship that they have with her, and how she is, of course, the only girl, but she still is all about, being with the boys and being with the family, and watching her trying to transition into now being like, I don't want to be the main one in the house, in the family, who, oops, I don't want to be the one in the family who feels like, you know, because I'm the only one who doesn't have a relationship, who doesn't have a significant other, I can't really be around y'all. And they're like, girl, what is you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? And so they're trying to get her to like come out of her shell. And he also is like, I'm trying to get you to come out of your shell. Now, trigger warning, there is a part in the book where she describes the violence that was done to her in her last relationship, which is why she does not deal with men who are taller than her. Um, because when she was in college, she dealt with a guy who physically abused her, and wanted to basically, um, not wanted her not to be with her family, and wanted to make sure everything that she did was whatever he wanted. And so he did physically abuse her, and she never told anybody because she was ashamed. And in the story, because she's dealing with Lawrence, who's again a tall guy, she has a moment and he realizes, like, wait, something's wrong here, because we're about to have this physical intimacy moment and you're not comfortable. So he tells her, like, talk to your family, talk to your cousin who, is the cousin that is the one that you go to for everything. So she does. She tells him, and he's like, bet, I'm gonna answer this shit. She's like, please don't do that. He's like, no, give me the name. As much as you fight all of our girlfriends when we were in college and high school, give me the name. And so they take care of that. But I loved watching the other couples who I've read about before, and seeing how their families are growing, and then seeing how Taylor being the last one of this cousin group, because it's a whole nother set of cousins, seeing how she is being loved on properly, which is really beautiful because again, she's like the last of the last in this family, and she's kind of feeling left out, but they're like, no, like you just need to show up, like you haven't shown up, and that's why we haven't heard from you. So that is, oops, hold on, that is a Mason family novel. Oops, what is going on right now? Okay, here we go. And this is, what's this called? And One for Me. And One for Me. Oh, can you see it? Can you see it? Hold on, let me see if I can get it a little bit bigger. But I love that. Okay, there we go. And One for Me. And so that's the Mason family. And these right here, all of these right here, these are the stories. I might actually go back and read these again, because I really love this series, because Ashley Nicole just does contemporary romance so very, very good. All right. And we are down to the final story. Yes, yes, final story. Aria Days for the Win. Love this book. This book was about a big, juicy countryman and his ex-wife. And his name is Rudy Jones. And what's her name? Noah. Her name is Noah. And it delves into what happens when you are too young and immature to know exactly how to be in a relationship. So whoops, this is the book. And Rudy Jones, it's called Rudy Jones's New Year's resolution. I enjoyed this book so much because you saw how, again, masculinity and how it is for men and how they can't really show a range of emotions. And what you see in this story is that Rudy realized that he was living in a space where he saw his dad pretty much disregard his mother's feelings. And he brought that into his marriage when they were young. And the problem with that is that he married a feisty, vivacious, independent black woman at a young age because she was raised by her dad and only her dad. And so she didn't take no shit. Even though she tried to be there for him, he could not understand and would not allow her to be because of his own hangups about who he was and what he dealt with his own family and how he was treated in his family. And so he's gone to therapy. He's kept up with her through her aunt, and he wants to get his wife back. So this story is basically about him trying to get his wife back and how he goes about showing her that he's changed, how he goes about showing her that he truly never stopped loving her, and how he now wants her in his life as this new and improved version of himself, not because of her, but because he realized that he needed to change. And I appreciated that because sometimes you don't see that in stories where you see this arc of this person kind of changing throughout the years because they realized that they just weren't a good person, especially when it comes to the way that they treated their significant other. And it was a second chance love story. It is one that I think I just love Arya Days. I can't even. I just love how she writes her fucking characters, especially the men, because they really do. And they just, if I'm thinking about like what masculinity is, she seems to understand that there is always going to be a range where the men can cry, the men can have anger, the men can be frustrated, as I said, the men can be submissive, they can be dominant, they can embody like all of these different type of things, but still protect and provide for their partner. And I absolutely positively love this. So yeah, 10 books, contemporary to fantasy to sci-fi books. I again have the link where you can find all the books that I talked about. So going through the list one more time, we have Spin the Block, A Second Chance Romance, The Love and Music Suite, Book 1 by Reese Ryan. We have Candy Corn Curses by Aria Days. We have From Kingston with Love, a candid story, candid series, which is also by Aria Days. We have The Game Warden's Mate, an alien abduction romance, The Hunt, Book 1 by A.M. Griffin. Candid Series Book 1, Aria Days, and One for Me, a Mason family novel, The Mason Family Saga, book number 10 by Ashley Nicole, Untamed by Lisa Rainey. I hope I said that right. I Married a Catman, Prime Meeting Agency by Regine Abel. Hope I said that right. Rudy Jones's New Year's Resolution. Happy Holiday Shorts by Aria Days, and then of course Human Resources, which I didn't go into because I do have a video about that here. But those are my 10 books that I read on my Kindle for the month of January. And I think actually I'm not sure how many I've read for um I know I'm reading one now that I'm trying to see um I think I'll probably finish it this month. So maybe I will have one more for January and maybe I'll go through that. But if you watch this and you're watching this at a later time, I appreciate you. Let me know which book, if you read one of the 10 that I put up, let me know which one you loved because I absolutely positively love some of them. Aria Days is now my new favorite author, hands down. Sis can write her ass off, so definitely read one of hers. It's a wait a minute. It's Ariadaze. If you want to find her books, they're on Kindle Unlimited. And she's accessible actually also because she's on Threads. So shout out to Threads for that's the way I found her was through Threads. So shout out for Threads putting me on. Shout out. But if you loved any of those books, let me know which one you loved. I thank you for watching this and can't wait for February because I have a few that I'm all ready to share with y'all. All right. Have a good night. Make sure you subscribe and like and comment.